Most people think heart disease just happens because of age or genetics. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn has spent 60 years telling people the opposite. He says, in that calm surgeon voice of his, that the vast majority of heart attacks, strokes, clogged arteries, and high blood pressure are not an age problem. They're a food problem. And the part that always shocks his patients is this. When you stop hurting your arteries 3 times a day with the wrong foods, the body doesn't just pause the disease, it often starts repairing itself. So in this video, we're going to walk through exactly how he does that. The simple movement routine he still uses in his 90s, the plant-based style of eating that reversed advanced heart disease in his patients, the 4 foods he tells people to stop eating immediately, and the few supplements he actually respects. Stay with me because when you hear how he puts it together, you'll realize this is not a diet, it's a circulation protection plan. Esselstyn didn't come to this by accident. He was trained at the Cleveland Clinic, chaired departments, did surgery, published over 100 papers, worked with late-stage heart patients, all the people who had already had stents, bypasses, and were told, this is progressive, it'll get worse. But he kept seeing the same thing. Medicine could open a vessel, but the same lifestyle that created the blockage was still there. It was like bailing water out of a boat while leaving the hole in the bottom. That bothered him. So instead of asking which new drug, he asked, what would it take so this person never makes new plaque again? That question is what led him to endothelial cells, that thin inner skin inside every artery, and to food. He always explains it very simply. Your arteries are lined with a miraculous, fragile, living tissue called the endothelium. When it's healthy, it makes nitric oxide. Nitric oxide tells the arteries, stay wide, stay slippery, don't let cholesterol stick, don't let platelets clump. It's like Teflon for blood vessels. But every time you eat certain foods, he names them very clearly, you injure that lining. Not enough to feel it, not enough to end up in the ER that day, but enough to chip away at the body's protection. Do that for 20, 30, 40 years, and now you have stiff arteries, high blood pressure, and plaque. Do the opposite for months and years. Feed those cells what they need, and the body quietly opens its own arteries again. That's why when people ask him, what's the best heart medication? He says, it's not in the pharmacy, it's in your kitchen. His core recommendation is almost boringly consistent. A whole food, plant-based, no-oil diet rich in leafy greens. Not because it's trendy, because leafy greens are the single best way to constantly bathe the endothelium in nitrates, which turn into nitric oxide. He tells people to eat them 6 times a day. Kale, Swiss chard, collards, beet greens, bok choy, arugula, spinach, all the chewy greens. Not a leaf for decoration. A real serving, cooked without oil, flavored with balsamic or rice vinegar. The vinegar, by the way, he likes because it further supports nitric oxide. You do this meal after meal, and you're not just lowering cholesterol, you're literally improving the biology of the artery wall. That's also why his breakfast is so predictable. He doesn't start with eggs, bacon, butter, and coffee. He starts with protection. A big bowl of old-fashioned oats, not the instant sugary kind. Oats with oat milk. Then he piles on berries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, because he wants those antioxidants early in the day. Sometimes banana, sometimes raisins. Why? Because that first meal sets the tone for inflammation for the whole day. You either start with fiber, polyphenols, low fat, and slow glucose, or you start with animal fat, oil, and high insulin. One protects arteries. One slowly injures them. Now, very important, and he's very strict here, he doesn't just tell people what to eat, he tells them what to stop eating completely if they want to reverse disease. He names 4 categories over and over. First, added oils, and yes, he means the healthy ones too. He says oil, even extra virgin olive oil, is not a whole food. It's a highly processed, calorie-dense, endothelial irritating liquid fat. It's 100% fat, 0 fiber, and it creates oxidative stress on the vessel wall. He's seen too many people stall their progress because they kept frying or sautéing in olive oil, thinking that was Mediterranean and therefore good. He's not anti-olive, he's anti-pure oil. If you want the benefits, eat the whole olive. Second, he removes all dairy and all animal fat. Not because of ethics, because of what the saturated fat, the heme iron, and the animal proteins do to cholesterol and endothelial function. He cites the data that people eating red meat have more TMAO and more cardiovascular risk. His patients with advanced disease simply do better without it. So he says if it had a mother or a face, or it came from a mother, we don't eat it. Third, he's very cautious with coffee, especially caffeinated coffee, in people who already have high blood pressure or compromised arteries. He says caffeine can cause vasoconstriction and sudden blood pressure rises, so for a lot of his patients, he says go decaf or skip it. That's controversial, but it's consistent with his protect the endothelium from every angle philosophy. Fourth, he cuts out sugary drinks, not just soda. Fruit juices, energy drinks, sweetened teas. Liquid sugar is one of the fastest ways to generate triglycerides, raise insulin, and create the very metabolic environment that ages your vessels. Now, diet is pillar 1. Pillar 2 for him is movement, but not crush yourself in the gym. He's in his 90s. He knows what lasts. He always talks about the simple, repeatable activities that keep blood flowing and joints alive. Brisk walking, cycling, and swimming. He loves cycling because it gives you a big cardiovascular benefit with low impact. He loves swimming because it's total body, it conditions the heart without pounding the knees and hips, and study after study shows swimmers have better longevity. He's not chasing six-pack abs, he's chasing circulation. His rule is move every day, sweat most days, and keep doing it into old age. Then, on top of food and movement, he adds only a few supplements, not a shopping cart. Vitamin B12 because plant-based eaters need it, and because B12 helps keep homocysteine from climbing. Elevated homocysteine is linked to vascular damage. Calcium in the right amount for bone and general health, and flax or ground chia for omega-3s, fiber, and anti-inflammatory effect. That's it. No miracle powder, no detox kit, just the basics that support the plan. The part people love most when he talks, though, isn't the science, it's the hope. He tells the story again and again. Someone comes in with chest pains, shortness of breath, already stented, terrified. They think their life is over. He sits them down and says, this is a food-borne illness. If you stop injuring your arteries, your body can heal. And they do it. And 6, 9, 12 months later, their angina is gone, their cholesterol is down, their stress test is better. Not because of magic, because every single day their meals were either harming or healing their arteries, and they chose healing. So if you wanted to take his approach and start tomorrow, it would look something like this. Start your day with oats, berries, and oat milk. At lunch and dinner, build the plate around greens, beans, intact whole grains, and a rainbow of vegetables. Flavor with vinegars, spices, lemon, mustard, not oil. Snack on fruit, not cheese. Walk or cycle most days. Add B12, ground flax, and a calcium source. And just as important, remove the oil, the meat, the dairy, the sugary drinks, and the excess caffeine that keep poking holes in your endothelium. Is it strict? Yes. Is it complicated? Not really. And that's why even in his 90s, he keeps repeating the same thing. The body wants to heal. You just have to stop getting in its way.